For my dear fellow cigar enthusiasts, if you ever find yourself in Holland, Amsterdam, the Netherlands, there is absolutely one place you must visit. It's called Cigaragua. Our story begins with a single conviction. Reputation isn't given, it is earned. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Oris Sanctuary, Sasja van Horssen, the cigar maestro of Holland.
Mr. or I would like to say the CCO, Sasja van Horssen of the Longfiller Company in the Netherlands. Man, brother, it's such a pleasure to have you here this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here, Oris. Thank you very much.
Wow. Um, I've been to your stores a lot of times, and you're a busy man, but your staff are always on point. Um, And before we go into that, for me, reputation is everything. I've been smoking cigars for a very, 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 very long time until I was introduced to your store. Everybody say, hey, listen, if you can't make it to South America or Cuba or Havana sometimes and you want to feel home, you need to go to Cigaragua in Holland. When you're there,
Wow.
go and get lost. And I'm like, wow, that's like, it's a library. It's a library of the finest out of Nicaragua. This man literally dedicated, took risk, and the word was he got some balls to do what he did. Go check it out. Even my wife and every female sommelier in the cigar industry would always say, "Go try something new. Go to Cigaragua." And when I did eventually, you know, went, my son, my wife was pregnant with my son, so he was about maybe 6 weeks to, before he was to come into this world. I got three kids. I remember those moments, those very pivotal moments. Me going in, she's looking at me. She's like, "I've lost my husband. He's not coming out." Because she walked in, and she said, it was like it's like going into a museum, right? At that time, you had the cafe where people could sit down and do work, right?
Yes,
So I
yes,
was so excited. She couldn't sit there to do her work because she was
of
pregnant.
course.
She went next door to the shoe shop. As long as a woman's got the shoe shop by, and your location, that particular location is awesome. So this location, she looked at me, I looked at her. She's walking into the shoe shop, and I'm like this. He's like, "Oh, I've lost my husband. He's not coming out. I'll see you later," and that was it. But I want to really thank you. Your staff were they literally gave me a history lesson on the walk. And Sasha, I have to be honest with you. I'm going to be very biased. Are you hands-on with training? Is this normal with your staff?
Um, yes, but that's not what makes the difference. Everybody you meet in our stores were customers of mine. So cigar customers, smokers. Um, we select them. Obviously, the lounge helps. So a lot of these guys were coming into the lounge, smoking cigars. So I got to look at them for a long time, talk to them on a social level. These are the people you want. You can train somebody as much as you like, and it's always helpful. But they love cigars. That's their start. That's their core, and then you can add on to that. But the core of these people is 90% of the equation, and then the rest you give them some information or as much as you can. You take them to Nicaragua, you take them to the Dominican Republic, which we've always done. But the fact that these people love cigars, it also means that they love cigar smokers and customers who smoke cigars. So they connect immediately because they're exactly the same as you.
Mm.
They're in that store to fulfill their dreams. I mean, I actually have one, which is which is pretty amazing. We have a small shop in Den Bosch, which is in the south of the Netherlands, and 2 days a week we have an employee from Belgium. He drives an hour and a half to the store, and then in the evening an hour and a half back home. And his big dream, because he's retired, he was making six figures selling, I don't know, internet stuff. I have no idea what it all is. But his big dream was to work in a tobacco shop or a cigar shop specifically. That's the kind of people we hire. And then you can't go wrong from there.
Wow. Wow. Now this makes sense. This makes sense. This is a whole different ball game. I love your take on personality first, human
Yes.
first.
Yes.
You go
Yes.
from the inside. You sit, you eat with this
Yes.
individual. Then
Yes. Yes.
they're an open book. If
Yes.
you
Yes.
understand.
Yes. Yes.
Now,
And it has to go two ways, because I consider these people my brothers, and anybody that touches them has to deal with me. It happened a few times. Sometimes you get asshole customers. It just happens. And when I get told of an incident, um, these people will never ever walk into my stores ever again. I mean, there has been occasions that I called good customers and I told them, listen, I'll give you 3 addresses in Amsterdam, but you're not going to mine again, because that's not the way you treat my people. It's
wow.
unacceptable. And as long as you keep that up, they will fight for me as long as I fight for them. And that is my mantra when it comes to people I work with.
Wow. I'm so glad you mentioned this. Um, and this makes sense. A brother of mine just got back from Amsterdam last week, and the first thing he said, "Yo, I took your advice. I went there, and bro, they are the nicest and the most loveliest people I've ever met." He was just like, I explained to them my budget, and they worked within my budget. They were honest, and this guy would usually go all the way to Jersey, New York to get
Mhm.
certain New World
Yes.
Nicaragua cigars. And I said, I went, here's the kicker. Same price, right? He went, I could tell the difference. He goes, wow. And
Good.
I said, and
Excellent.
that's this guy. Then I said, but here's the damn thing. A lot of people hate this guy. And we both laugh. I go, I don't know what it is about him, but it doesn't make sense. And now listening to you, that makes sense, because that's the
Yeah.
street we come from. You mess with a family of mine, trust me,
Exactly.
we're gonna find
Exactly.
you. And that makes
Yes.
sense. And that might be, and it's very good that you're saying this, because I do find that the likes of you are the go between the cigar people. The what I call the CEO. I always say sometimes, I don't care about the CEO. I want to know who's rolling the cigars. I like to meet the people. I want to know about the people.
Yes.
I want to know where
Yes.
it's been sold. I don't care about that individual, because
Yes.
sometimes I find a lot of these, especially in the cigar world, right? It's a very sensitive world, and the Netherlands and kind of pretty much represents Germany, Europe,
Yep.
because there's other things that the Netherlands are known to groundbreak. It's an art culture.
Yes.
They got so much money. No disrespect. The most wealthiest people on the planet are out of. Listen, man, we know where that shit comes from. We get it. We
We we
understand it.
we're doing pretty well.
You're doing pretty well, right? And the funny thing, you guys are you're stickler for rules, right? When you talk about the marijuana, people have this concept about, oh, you could just stroll into Amsterdam with marijuana and you start smoking. Like, no, 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 no. There are rules. And my friends made, a lot of my
Yes.
friends say, no, no, Oris, the Dutch, you should know this, because I spent a lot of time in South Africa. He goes, they follow the book. You could smoke that stuff, but you could go in a cafe where it's sold. You smoke it there. You could smoke as much as you want, but you live it there. And I'm just
Exactly.
falling out laughing, because for me, I'm all about the cigar. So it's just, I could see the relation now. I could see the relation. But I want to ask you something. Have you always wanted to, like most people that have a dream of working in the tobacco industry, they have the same kind of passion I could see we have. I could see where it comes from.
Mm, mm.
I always say we are the bastard children of the cigar world. We love it, especially because we're foreigners, right? So I always say this type
Mm.
of passion. But have you always been that guy? Is this something you originally wanted to do from Jump Street? Because you're damn good
Well,
at it.
well, I'm third generation in this business.
Okay.
But my family, my grandfather and my father were in the let's say lower end of the cigar market, so machine made stuff. It was until 6 years ago a very big part of our business, and I actually learned about handmade cigars in the UK.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, there's a company in the UK which is now the largest New World cigar supplier
Mm.
called Tor Imports.
Correct.
So you might have heard of them.
I
Uh,
know them.
yeah, good, good,
Scott,
good.
Scott, those
Yeah,
guys are the
yeah,
ones that championed me to receive the cigar smoke of the year. They,
good.
those, yeah,
Excellent, excellent.
we're
Oh,
like La Famille.
that was the Boysdale thing.
Yes, yes,
Got it, got it. I used to own half of the company,
interesting.
but this is very, very back in the day when it
Mm,
was very small. It was set up by a gentleman called Mark Acton. This was before Scott came in,
okay,
and Mark had worked for one of the three importers of Cuban cigars in the UK.
wow,
And he made a switch from one of their companies, one of the Cuban ones, because in the past it used to be three companies representing several brands. It wasn't one like it is now. And he switched to another company. 2 months after that, the company he switched to was purchased by his previous employer. Obviously, that didn't go down well. So he was sacked like in the first week. So the guy was like, what the hell am I going to do? I'm out of a job. I thought I had a better job, but now I got nothing. So he decided to open Tor Imports out of his home in Dawlish. And a couple of months after that, he had a very small selection of handmade cigars. He came to us for machine made cigars. And at the time, I wasn't sure whether the company in the Netherlands was something for me. So we decided to invest into that company. And I moved to the UK to
wow,
be their sales rep. So I did basically from Birmingham to London, obviously the most important part when it comes to cigars.
yes,
I did the sales for about a year and then decided to go back home. Um, Sold the company back to Mark Acton and started Longfiller Company within our uh, tobacco company in the Netherlands. So that was sort of the start of the company. I think this is 1999, if I'm not mistaken,
mm,
around there.
wow, wow,
I mean, before I came to the UK, I had no clue. I couldn't differentiate a Robusto from a Toro. I mean, you guys taught me everything. And the nice part is that at the time, the UK was well advanced in Europe when it came to handmade cigars.
yeah,
You guys actually had a culture. For
yes,
us, it was all machine made. We had no clue about
wow,
humidification or how they were made and this and that.
Eh,
So the first 5 years were a nightmare in the Netherlands. I mean,
wow.
nobody had any infrastructure at all. The good
Now,
part is
yeah,
that because it was so small in the Netherlands, I could get my hands on very, very large brands like Arturo Fuente, Leo Jimenez, La Aurora. At the time, Nicaragua was non-existent because there was no market, so there was no representation either. So we had some really good brands which we still carry um, 30 years later. So it gave us the possibility to have a very, very strong start. That was nice.
wow. And what to stay on this part, um, that relationship 30 years onwards from that time with those people at the helm of those cigars, you guys
Yes.
must have something very, very tight, very strong
Yes.
and solid.
Yes. 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 It's a weird business. It's a very old school business. To give you
Mm,
an example, we represent from the new world brands, I would say 70 to 80% of the big brands we represent. I mean, the list is pretty endless.
correct.
I have zero contracts with any of them. Zero.
Wow.
Never signed anything. I mean, with Arturo Fuente, I shook Carlito's hand. That was it. With Plasencia, I shook Nestor's hand. That was it. And people don't back down from that. You make a promise,
Yes.
mano a mano, that's
Yep.
it. Um,
We call it the gentleman's handshake, which is
exactly.
my wife's Norwegian, as you know, and she's from Norway, and me being born in England and being part of being an African descent. I grew up with grandfathers, uncles, business people. They say a handshake, just like you and I. You know what's interesting about me, you and I. We never even contact by phone. It was a email a few months ago, and here we are, gentleman's handshake. So I'm from that world,
Yeah.
and to see what it is now, I'm very glad that I still am part of the old world generation where we're in a place where we can pick and choose who
Yes.
we want. And
Yes.
this is interesting because now you talked about this whole gentleman handshake. What have you what is the big jump? Because there's a lot of questions I want to ask you regarding your first store in the
Mm.
Netherlands, um especially leaving England and coming out to coming going back home. What was that like for you? That must have been a lot of work for you, because now you have to come home and clean house.
It
Like,
it wa-
yeah,
it was rough. It was rough. I mean, the first 5 years we've lost money every single year, and not little bits of money. I mean,
yeah.
huge chunks of money. Fortunately, the company that was already there was generating enough, so that was nice. Uh, but I mean, even simple things like humidor cabinets and these little piddly ones, there was nothing there. So we put in cabinets with 30, 40 retailers to find out 6 weeks later that they didn't humidify the humidor because they had no clue. So it was very much an uphill battle in terms of we basically had to create a market that wasn't there. Uh, and nobody believed in it. Every single retailer said, "You're out of your fucking mind. Nobody buys these cigars. People buy Dutch cigars. These are too expensive." I even remember my father at the time saying, because our most expensive cigar at the time was 2 guildrons and 30 cents,
Mm,
which is like a pound now.
yes.
And it was a Churchill from the Dominican Republic. And my dad said, "Listen, son, I understand some people might buy one once, never a second one because it's too expensive." He ended up smoking 6 every day.
And the likes of me would come in from London,
Yeah.
right? Because it's what to pick up these cigars. And what's interesting, a lot of the guys that I smoke with um frequently at our members club, our whiskey members club in London, um they know of you, and your name was always there. There was a particular couple of particular gentlemen when all of us, most of us were coming with our Cubans, and he was just every time you turn around, he had this new original style bandit cigar that for us it was like very new, and Cigaragua, and I'm like, what? What is that? It's a store. And then, funny enough, the women started. A lot of the women were like, that would be encouraging me to try something new to open my palate. They're like, man, you've traveled around the world, you know better than that. Really, you should don't get caught up with that, because that's gonna backfire. And I understood years later what that meant. That we were worshiping this world,
Yes.
and when
Yes.
it came crashing, everybody was like, "Oh, I don't know what
Yeah.
to do." And so, but I was prepared. I was prepared. So, I started to experiment.
Good.
I started to get stuff. I started to age them, and most of the stuff I got were from you guys. I remember getting a box of hand rolled, unbranded torpedo. Oh
Mm.
my goodness! Oh my goodness! People had no idea that I picked this out of Holland. And here's the funny thing: it was so well kept. Listening to you talk about the humidiration and all the things you
Mhm.
had to go through to that, I would never know in a million years how many cigars that you probably had to destroy, how many dried up. Because remind you, there was no Bovida in
Yeah.
that time,
No,
or
that
these
didn't
or the
exist.
oh, it didn't exist. It
Didn't
was it
exist.
was it was tissue or cloth,
Yeah.
damp cloth,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
got to know what you're doing, or that thing could soak right through the cigars, and
Yeah.
people will just look at you like you are. So I could only imagine that in
Yeah.
2017, 2018, those period when I would come in to
Yeah.
Amsterdam, and I just pick up stuff with the lady. She has her stash for me, and I have my stash because I was being greedy. I was like, okay, honey, you know what? Custom say this. Okay, you carry it. You carry it.
There you go. Of course.
She just
Of
looks at
course.
me, and to see the freshness of the cigar, to see how you took care of them. That now it makes sense. It didn't happen overnight, and you were doing it.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, you were doing it again before this the system
Yes,
they have now, where everyone's
yes,
making
yes,
humidors. You know what I mean?
yes,
Where you could literally sue the humidor companies or the humidor makers because, oh, you're
yes.
saying you're the best humidor maker in the world, but guess what? I've just lost this. But back then
Yeah,
you couldn't because you thought, right? We were trying to,
yes.
you know. So to see you come from that to where you are, that must be, and listen to what your father said to you, because a lot of the guys like when I was speaking to Juan Martinez, man, Foundation, these guys, man, they hail you. They said, Oris, the guy's got some balls because what he did was unheard of. Nobody took that kind of risk, but you took that
Yeah,
risk.
yeah.
You took that risk.
Cigaragua was the first. I don't scare easy. It's just it is what it is. So
Yeah.
Cigaragua kept me up a few nights, to be honest,
Mm,
because it originated from we were already importing cigars out of Nicaragua, Dominican Republic,
right.
Honduras, bit of Mexico, and I tend to read whatever I can get my hands on.
Right.
So I was noticing that in all these top 10s, top 25, the bulk of them were Nicaraguans every single time. And I was like, wow, is this for me? It felt like an epiphany of some sorts.
Mm,
And it wasn't 1 year or a year and a half or 2 years. It was just continuously in all the magazines, always Nicaragua, Nicaragua, Nicaragua. So I started looking into the whys, and the whys are all very technical. You have a country with 4 very distinct tobacco areas. Cuba only has 1. Dominican Republic has 2, but
mm,
they are finding it difficult to grow a wrapper. So there's such an abundance because of this soil, which is volcanic and
yeah.
filled with nutrients. It's unbelievable, this country. And then you got all these factories, with the exception of Joya, who
Mm,
are all Cubans. You got to keep in mind, I used to have the reputation of being anti-Cuban. That's not 100% right.
mm,
I was anti-Cuban quality now because I remember Cuban Davidoffs. I know what those were like. And for me, that's the benchmark of a Cuban cigar.
correct.
Nowadays, you could give me anything Cuban. I wouldn't know what it is because a Partagas doesn't taste like a Partagas anymore, and a Romeo doesn't taste like Romeo. I actually think they put on the bands when the order comes in, and there's no aging, there's no flavor. It's gotten milder every single season. The crops are shit. I mean, this happens when you kick out all the people behind the brands. It makes perfect sense. All the factories, all the brands used to be owned by individuals with passion, with drive. And suddenly this communist walks in with machine guns and they got 24 hours to run out of their building, basically. All of these people ended up in Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, and a few other countries. It was the largest export of knowledge in the history of
Mm,
cigars. They basically fucked themselves. And this is the result. And now you have a state running a premium enterprise. It's nuts. Makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, my biggest dream would be that these people at some point, I know it's probably not going to happen, return to Cuba. Because can
mm,
you imagine somebody like Jorge Padron or Calito Fuente
mm.
being able to grow tobacco in Pinar del Rio? Holy shit.
My
That's
goodness. Yeah.
that's heaven, absolute heaven. So with Cigaragua, I thought, now that I have this epiphany, how am I going to explain this to people in the Netherlands? So we basically thought of 3 things that we wanted to do simultaneously. We wanted to have a book about the country, which we did, the
Hmm.
Cigaragua book.
Yes, I have it.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
We wanted to do an ongoing charity because I think that if you're benefiting from products made in a very poor country, you should give something back. So we take $10 out of every cigar we sold throughout the whole country. It's usually about 25,000-30,000 a year. And we put it into a children's school in Esteli, We've been doing that for years. I think it's called Pro Nica.
Yes.
And then the third thing was, and this was basically copy paste of a Casa del Habano, because that's what Cigaragua in some shape or form is. We said we want to open a store that only sells cigars from Nicaragua. Now, the only place I could do it in the Netherlands was Amsterdam, because it has to be a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at two streets, the one that Hyenis is at,
Mm-hmm.
and the one we ended up with. The one with Hyenis, it's got a lot of traffic, but not the right traffic. And the location we picked now is a little bit more high end, so that worked out. It needed to be large because we wanted to. When we started, we had 1,700 different cigars there. Pretty tremendous amount of stock that we had in there. We wanted to have the lounge, which we did. It was a 70 square meter lounge. We wanted to be open 7 days a week, every day till 9, which we did. And these three things together was basically an instant success, which is nice.
Wow. Whew. I could just end this here and walk away, but I can't.
Probably could.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, well said. You pretty much, because when you look at Camacho, when I was reading the book, also the rise of the Nicaraguan cigar. There's another
Yeah.
book with
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
and I remember a very very good friend of mine who used to work for Torrey Import. You know him, Antonio,
Yeah.
Ricardo
Yeah.
Carioni.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, he gave me. We were supposed to. It was after one of the whiskey shows during the pandemic, and I just remember meeting him we were supposed to meet for 10 minutes. Scott has said, "Hey, Oris, the actor wants to meet you," and so everybody, we were all excited to meet each other, and the meeting was supposed to last for 30 minutes. This guy showed up with the book, The Rise of Nicaragua, your book, Cigaragua, man, and he said, "I'm going to give you a homework, literally, and I'm going to question you with your
Oh my God.
cigar knowledge." And lo and behold, I read those two books, I would say, within 4 days.
Nice.
My wife was like, "Wow, honey, you are serious." I said, "Yeah, yep. I need to know about this." Yeah, and I'd done Cuba, I'd done Havana, thanks to my very, very good friend who actually introduced me to my wife. We spent time at the Patagas factory, you name it.
Mhm.
But my favorite thing out of Cuba, to be honest with you, is looking the roller face to face, whose family's been rolling cigars, make me my batch of
Yes.
custom made. And that is one of the most incredible thing I walked out of Cuba with. I was like, man,
Absolutely.
because I'm not going to lie, to know that this person used to roll for so and so and so and so and so, and he just passed it on to me. And to see these people look you in the eye and go, "Oris, my wish is to head to Mexico and start my own line." And you know what? Lo and behold, a lot of these people left to Nicaragua. They left. This was 2017. We're still talking.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of them went to
Cool.
LA. They were rolling privately for, a couple of the basketball players. And no offense, but there is nothing like a good cigar. And the reason I'm saying this, what really kicked this off was you started to sell those things at Cigaragua. And that blew my mind, because when people saw them, if you didn't know anything about custom roll, the first thing that people would say was, "Where's that? Is that from Cuba?" I said, "You believe it or not, no, I got it from Cigaragua." They said, "What? Unbanded? Custom like that?" I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah.
And I said, "They're consistent." How did you figure that out? Where did that came in? Where you just like, I'm curious to dig into your head. We haven't even touched the other stores you have, the other brand, but what clicked? What happened that you went
Well,
down that road where you balance it?
well,
You have the customs and you have this.
it's not. It's the backstory is not very uh, impressive in the sense that these cigars were actually available already.
Mm,
I think that you're talking about the big perfectos.
yes,
Um,
yes. But to take the
they're
risk,
actually,
to take the
they're
risk.
actually, yeah, hell of a good cigar,
Yes.
made at AJ Fernandez.
My
So they were already available, and we
yeah,
basically we were working together with 7 or 8 factories that we also represent for the Netherlands. So everything you
yeah,
saw in there was
yes.
also on our national sales program, and we said to the suppliers, "Give me everything you have, every single
Wow.
size, every single vitola." Uh, so I mean, even the sizes that are difficult to sell, like Petit Coronas and Lanceros,
Yeah,
we had everything because we needed to fill a room.
yeah,
That's also an issue,
yeah.
and we were able to fill it very properly.
Well, my lady and her friend smoke did the Petit Corona, so
Yeah,
they it's their gang
good,
of those because I they no
excellent.
offense, I don't have any problem with the cigarette smokers, but I always say because my lady I said to her, honey, I get you Petit Coronas, please don't do
Good,
that. And so
good.
quite a lot of those ones went to them. And that's why this
Perfect.
is a big deal. When I said, hey, guess who I'm interviewing? They're like, oh my God, that crazy guy? How did you get him? Because he doesn't do interviews. They were like, he doesn't
Not
do
a lot.
interviews. They're like, man,
Yeah.
they said, you better. And I'm like, no, trust me. Trust me. He's, and I think it was your son or somebody was like, no,
Oh, my
he,
daughter.
your daughter, oh my goodness. She was like, oh, ooh. And she went, you talk to him.
Yeah,
And I'm like
yeah.
you. Hey, look, I've been shot at, I've been stabbed. I'm like, you know what? Forget all that Hollywood crap. Let's go. I was like, yeah, yeah, give me his email. And you know what? You were so nice, man. You were so nice. And when I told everybody about you, the room literally cleared. People just went, and I'm like, what's going on? To go, he's nuts. like I'm like, what? They're like, if you could pull this up with him, we want to watch. So it's one of those
Nice.
things. And I. But on a serious note, um, you didn't hold bars on Cigaragua. You literally emptied out the whole when it comes to title, when it comes to brand. You gave everyone a shot. You took risks.
It,
You gave everyone a
it,
shot. Tell me about that. That
it,
was big.
it's well, I mean, I was nervous about will it work? Will people get it? Um, but I was never, which is also one of the reasons I rarely give interviews.
Mm,
It's not about me in any shape or form. It's about, on one hand, my suppliers who make unbelievable good cigars, and the length they go through, and the fact that I'm um, able to represent them for me is a great honor. So I don't take the compliments. I actually don't like taking compliments, and it's on the other hand, it's also about the guys in the stores actually talking to the consumers. I just see myself as somebody in the middle trying to get these two together. So I never think too much about. I'm always surprised when people actually know who I am. That really does surprise me.
you let me hold you right there. You would be surprised the conversations that go on in my generation in the cigar parlor. What we
Cool.
talk about behind closed doors.
Okay.
Um, we are fans of store owners because I think many of us, my generation that's into the cigar world, understand and know exactly what's going on in those world.
Yes.
And the fact, and one thing about people like yourself, Augusto, and out in Oslo, where I go to get cigars, and Solar, and all these places, and of course, tour import those distributors and the stores, and in England, they have no choice but to make things work.
Yes.
It's not America. USA, no,
No.
it's not
No. No.
America.
No.
We are
No.
so Europe is the cross between Africa, Middle East, and Bulgaria, all of that stuff. So everything is strict because it's ridiculously hard. So we don't have time. And you're right, compliment is not our best thing, especially in Norway. Nobody cares. But is that product good? Do you like it? Do you
Well,
like the
this.
product? No, I mean,
Oh,
in Europe, it's about the product, and it's
yes.
it's it's about the product, and it's about who represents that product.
Yes.
What is his mentality like? Well, he's a no nonsense guy, but he packs a good stuff, and everything is in order around him. All right, cool, let's try it. That's what people like first. So So Sasha, pat yourself on the back a little bit for me, for us, because I get it. I know where you're coming from, but we got to give credit, and credit is due, because this day in social media, people are using that medium
Yeah,
to disguise crap. And we're not stupid. We're not buying it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
We're not buying it. We don't see you. We'd hardly see you in that world. But
yeah,
your move, what I think with you, your reputation is enough. And that's, you know, thank goodness, our kids, my kids, they would have that, because that's the world we come from. It's about reputation,
yeah,
and it's about hard work, and you have that. So please,
yeah. Thank you.
it's an honor, to have you here, because you're honest. You have nothing to lose. You've tried, you've failed. We know of your stories. Your stories in the streets. Like I said, it's in the cigar world. Your
Yeah,
stories are
yeah.
evident, and it's very supported. But that being said, that that process must have been, like you said, you lost endless sleep, and I could see why. As beautiful as that place is, because when I walk in and people walk in, they say, Oris, it's like a library. And now apparently you have a Dominican section.
Yes, yes. Well, forced through legislation.
Mm,
We used to have two shops in the same street in Amsterdam,
yes.
one being Cigaragua, and a little bit further down, I think we opened it 4 years ago,
Yeah.
was the Vandalen Cigar Boutique, which sold Dominicans, Cubans, machine-made cigars. And 2 years ago, we were forced to close all our lounges because of legislation. And obviously, the lounge in Cigaragua is massive.
Yes.
You can't leave it empty. So we decided to close the one shop on the other side of the street and move it into the lounge downstairs. So now basically we have everything under one roof. It's like a cigar world all of a
Yes.
sudden. So the concept is still strong, but it's just a little bit more. I do feel
Mm,
sorry for it. The lounge was fantastic. I mean,
yes.
I love sitting there and having my wine and having my cigars and talking to people. Now that the lounges are not there anymore, I tend not to go to the shops as much as I did. If you look at the picture down there, that whole section was Cigaragua.
Mm.
So we took the furniture, moved it down to our warehouse, and this used to be my office, way too big for me. So we made this into a personal lounge, so we could at least sit down with friends and have some cigars.
And that's what everyone's doing around the world. So most of my time is I spent. I was telling someone, I said, a lot of the lounges I go to is 24 hours. Like,
Yeah,
excuse me? I said, yeah.
yeah,
The owners would text me the code. I go in. My plane is in 6 7 hours. I just catch a cab, check
yeah,
my
yeah.
suitcase into a thing, and I go there. Click, 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 click. It's become the beautiful thing. It's become a place for trusted friends and family,
Yes,
if you
yes.
want to go down that road. That being said, you've also expanded into other territories. You have another store now. There's another,
Well, not
yeah.
one.
Look, there's a couple.
Yeah, yeah, we're opening them up pretty quickly. It's we have obviously one Cigaragua
Yeah,
and eight now eight Vandalen
correct.
shops throughout the Netherlands. So it's nine in total. And the rate of expansion again
Yeah,
is decided by people. It's
yes,
not easy to find reliable, enthusiastic cigar lovers that can run a shop. So the minute we run into somebody, it's like we had a meeting a month ago with some guys in the north of Holland who are now, I think one of them is a police officer and the other one's doing something else, but they want to open a cigar shop. So next year we'll probably open in their city as well. We'll do a 50-50 partnership and set it up for them. So we
beautiful.
got everything sussed in terms of the finance, in terms of the cigars, the knowledge,
Yeah.
how to actually build the shop. We have our own builder, our own designers. It's always people that we lack. If I could find 10 people to open shops, we'd open another 10 in 2 years, easily.
Wow.
And would you like me to give you a very big scoop?
Yes,
A
please.
very big one. A very big
Yes,
one.
yes.
The one thing I failed with Cigaragua was the fact that 7 years after we opened, it's still only one. So
Wow.
we are seriously looking into opening Cigaragua Miami Beach next year or the year after.
You got it
You're
here.
you're, you're the
First,
first one, eh?
Oris is there. Oris is answer. I love it. And I was about to really ask you on an international level, why did Cigaragua? This is why I love this interview. You read my mind because I've been, and my wife said, this is something my wife said. She said, when she first saw that store, she said, wow, this is like this could easily be the coffee shop chain. We don't want to mention their
Yes.
name because it's about
Yeah.
cigars. I
Yes.
want to,
Yes.
I
Yes.
want
Yes.
to, I want to, I want to respect my,
Yes.
my cigar community, and I ain't getting sponsored for this, so I just want to make sure. She said, this guy has a. I hope he patented that. I said, oh, from what I know of this guy, he ain't stupid. I said, oh yeah, he
No,
has.
it's worldwide patented.
I said this
Yeah.
guy's got a worldwide
Yeah.
patent. Surprised he ain't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm surprised. I said next time I come, I'll probably get a hat. But I'll be honest, I was surprised you 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 weren't doing that until you just mentioned it, because Miami Beach, oh my goodness, I lived there. I waited tables. I remember running out the restaurant to get hand rolled from the shoemaker, from the Cuban shoemaker who was doing it on the side to make money for my client sitting at the
Yeah.
table as a waiter. So I you just struck a very beautiful nerve of mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how did you come about that? And is that the only place you're
Well,
gonna go to California to, or just you're gonna slowly
well,
Hawaii? I'm sorry to put you doing under
well,
this.
I mean, to be honest,
Yeah.
Cigaragua in Amsterdam was not the most logical place in the world, in the
Mm,
sense that the Dutch premium market is not that big.
mm,
Cigaragua should have started in the US. US is
wow.
the by far
Correct.
the biggest premium market in the world.
That's right. And they're
Um,
under the embargo too at that time. It's still, for
there you
years.
go.
So
There you go.
you
There
know
you
what I
go.
mean?
Yeah, but I mean, even if the embargo was somehow lifted, I
Yeah.
think Cuba's production next year is 48 million sticks. The
Yes.
American market is 430 million sticks large. So even if they give 10%, it's 4.8 million sticks. It's
Yes.
not going to amount to anything in the end. It's just not.
Mm,
And then if you look at the cities, Miami makes a lot of sense because most of the suppliers have their offices in Miami.
correct.
Plus, it's a 0% state.
Yes.
So there's no taxes on cigars.
Correct.
California is 80%. So we're going to stay away from California for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was very, very tricky when I lived in LA. That was very, very
Yeah,
tricky because it was always friends who were coming in from
of course.
from Miami, and you get that call, and the joke was, "Hey, the boat has landed. What do you need?" You know what I mean? How much you got? What's your budget?
Yeah,
And I'll say I have this, and and they're like, okay, cool. I'm dropping off something at so and so's place. I'm gonna be at this place, at this place. Well, you know what I mean? Just make sure you have cash. So it was one of those.
nice.
Yeah, they will always know, like, okay, he just got off a huge movie and a huge commercial here, so he got somebody. So you just get that call, hey, papi, papito, I'm coming,
Nice.
man. You're like, so what you got? So they start giving you lists, and you sit there going through. Ooh, I've never tried that before. Where's that from? I don't know, my man. Try it. It's from Dominican Republic. It's good stuff. Good stuff. So so you get the classics, then you get this breakdown of what these other things and cigar some and it's funny because coming in from that era, I know you've seen this a lot of, and congratulations on this move. I can't wait to share. I can't wait to share it with people because it's warranted to see that cigar chain. It's really
Mm,
warranted. It's a
yes,
style. It's a lifestyle.
it
Cigarography is
is.
a lifestyle,
It is.
and congratulations to you on that. And I know you are a daredevil. When I say that guy is nuts, that's what I meant, and I'd rather it come from your mouth,
Yeah, yeah,
because you're very you are from the world I come from. You talk about it and you make it happen. You do it. There's a
yes.
saying when Michael Jordan say he would sit there, no matter how sick he was, and he look at the buzzer, look at the time, and he will just give certain numbers with his fingers, and when you know that, oh yeah, that he's gonna make those shots, and that's who you are. If that you know what I'm saying. There's never an
Thank you.
excuse. Yeah, you don't make
No,
excuse. I mean, I've talked to people why and especially people with connections and contacts, they shock me sometimes. It's like, man, you're sitting on gold mine, man. You're just sitting on just this one
yeah.
thing here. Well, the laws, the legislation, and you're sitting there going, I don't know what world you come from, but man, you better go to the top and talk to whoever's in charge of that bloody legislation, legislation, or whoever that play. And that's you man. You make thing happen, and I love how you get the community involved. um you're not looking for salesman or
No,
saleswoman.
no,
And
no,
that's where
no.
I think, and I want to see your take on that. What is your take on that with moving forward
Well,
with
it's that's the reason why we employ cigar lovers,
mm,
because they have obviously the same mentality.
hmm
And the one thing we always spoke about with our sales team was that if somebody comes in and says, "I got 20 euros and I want to buy a cigar," find them something awesome for 12, please,
that's right.
and not sell them anything more. So downsell rather than upsell. I hate upsells. It's a ripoff.
Yes.
I want people to leave happy. And if they leave happy, they will come back. As you said, reputation in our business is everything.
Yeah.
I'm really a stickler when it comes to that. I had a situation some years ago. A company in Amsterdam called me. They were making stationery for people in Dubai, sultans
hmm
and so on. So stationery, I think the starting price was $1 million,
mm,
which for paperwork is a lot. But
yeah.
and he had a large customer, and he'd built a cabinet for this man with a one-off Audemars Piguet, which is great, and a humidor. And the humidor was supposed to hold 365 Gurkha, His Majesty's Reserve. That's the Louis XIII infused
Yeah.
one.
Correct.
Now, at the time, they were going for $650 per stick. Times
Wow.
365, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
So I got in touch with the owner, Hansonia, and called them, and obviously they were available because nobody buys that shit. So everything was perfect. I could deliver, I could make a lot of money on it. Then I started researching the cigar itself. Now, when you put alcohol into tobacco, it screws everything up. It is bad. It is horrible. So I called back the guy. I said, "Listen, my friend, I can sell them to you. This is the price. But I will tell you what the sheikh is going to think. The day he gets his box, he's going to smoke the first cigar. He's going to have a really nasty experience. And he's going to think, this is going to be a crap year. I have to smoke one every day now. Don't do it." So I lost the deal. I don't know what he ended up doing in the end, but it just didn't feel right. It's not okay to sell shit to people. And there's a lot of shit on the market at the moment. Oh my God. There's so many crappy brands going around with gold and with non-fermented tobacco, and people call themselves master blenders. And I mean, there's maybe only 15 master blenders in the world. Suddenly we have a few hundred in Europe. What the hell's going on? It's just a nightmare.
What,
And
what, what do you what do you think is the reason for that? Is it
money,
desperation?
money,
Okay.
money. There's just um
As we say, bad
you
actors,
oh
bad actors
yeah,
in the
oh
game.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, they get away with it, so they make money on the back of. I mean, you got to keep in mind that when we select the brand for the Netherlands, we look at it at a very technical way. So first thing we say is it is the product uh, owned by the factory? Is it not a private label? So that's step one. Then we look, does this factory have their own fermentation process? Step two. Then step three is, do the factories, for part or for the whole, have their own tobacco fields? For me, these three things are the mark of quality, because it's not even about me liking a cigar, not liking a cigar. That is of no importance whatsoever. It's about, if you have a cigar today, it's got to taste exactly the same in a week, in a month, in a year, in a decade. That is the hardest part of cigars, is to make something that is so consistent on the long term. Then you have a quality product. Unfortunately, there are hundreds of brands that uh, portray themselves as being a cigar brand, but that are nothing more than a private label made at one of the larger factories. So a guy goes to a factory, says, I want to have such and such cigar, put my name on it. He will pay for the boxes, the stamps, the cigars, everything. And the master blender will make him 5 cigars or 10. He's going to smoke them. And he's going to say, that's the blend I like. And then they go into production. Now, this guy now calls himself a master blender. The only thing he did was smoke a bunch of cigars. It makes perfect sense that these cigars will be more expensive than whatever the factory was making for themselves, of course, and that the tobacco will not be as high a quality as the products that they were making already for themselves. So for me, this is a B brand. And that's where a lot of people got upset, because if you're an importer and the only thing you do is sell B brands, and I start pointing out that it is a B brand, because the funny part is, if you buy peanut butter from the supermarket and it's not a branded one, it's always cheaper. If you buy a cigar and it's not the original product, it's always more expensive. It makes no sense. So there's a lot of fraud going on, which I thoroughly dislike.
Now that makes sense. That makes sense because as we believe when I get a text sometimes that say, "Hey, I'm going to be in Amsterdam. Where's the best place to go smoke or get some good cigars?" The moment I send them yours, regardless of what happened, if anything bad goes down or they purchase something that was off,
We'll fix it.
I, you get it, right? So
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me, it's about reputation. You know, when if you're going to Oslo, I know the places to send you to. You going
yeah,
here, there. That's what we do. I mean, most of us, as you know this. Many of us who have phones today, in our WhatsApp group, are private and friends of ours of the Leaf, as we call them. I think I have
yes,
maybe 500 to 600 a cigar, like a cigar group, 2 of them.
yes.
One in the Middle
Cool.
East, one in Africa, one in Europe, like different. And you're talking 500 to, I mean, to the point where we've never met each other. But one
Yeah,
thing we use to communicate with each other is, I'm going to be in Qatar. Do you know anywhere? Brr, it comes
nice.
right through. And each time, each and every one of us is lighting a cigar, not a picture of our face, not a picture of how we look.
Cigar.
It's about the cigar. We just click,
Yeah,
click, boom,
exactly.
and you
Yeah.
get, wow, how does it taste like? Oh, I don't know. It was this. Okay, you know what, man? I tell you what. Uh, how many of those did you get? Oh, I got this. Was it froze when you picked up all of that stuff from that custom blah 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 place? I don't know. Well, freeze it. Do. You get
Yeah, yeah.
lessons. We all tip off each other
Yes,
what to
yes,
do,
yes.
and we share things. And if a name of a brand or something come up, oh my goodness, trust me, you just get that. So if I have all this amount of people, my private group, and these are hardworking men and women who started grassroots businesses,
Yeah.
it's a wrap. They're not trying to hear that. But one of the many people that would come up is you. Is like, so when I'm like, yo, share your story, I'm like, man. So I told them my wife, they were like, oh my God, you dragged that poor woman with the belly all the way to Cigaragua. I said, man, it's a long story. And how long did you spend in there? I know there's a shoe shop now. So, oh man, I was there for almost 3 hours. They're like, Jesus Christ, you're nuts. I'm like, it's like a library. They were introducing me to stuff I've never seen in my life. So, but you see, these are stories, right? These are like, it's interesting. Now, and this is what I wanted to ask you. Do you it opening a cigar business is not for everyone?
No.
Do you agree with that?
Yes. Yes. It's
Not for
well.
everyone.
I mean, no, 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 no. It's I mean, first and foremost, it's very expensive.
Yep.
To do it right, I mean, Amsterdam will hold between 500,000 and 1 million euros in stock in any given moment, and we have 9 of them. The other ones are a little bit smaller, but still. Um, and the level of knowledge and service, I'm real stick. I say this to my staff all the time. We're not a cigar shop. We are Rolex. We're a Michelin restaurant. We're a 5-star hotel. If somebody comes in, You need to cover him with warmth and kindness and knowledge, but also honesty. If you don't know the answer to a question, say, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I will call somebody. Then they call me, of course. Uh, but it's everybody needs to be willing to go every single extra mile they can. And fortunately, because they love the product, they do this out of themselves. So I just give them a couple of pushes and then it just works. It's actually one of the reasons, because I used to be in the store myself. That's one of the reasons I quit, because I couldn't handle the asshole customer anymore. There are some
Mm.
that are not, that come in, call you about this and such. And I don't have the patience for that anymore. I used to be better at it when I was a little bit younger. Now I just tell them to piss off. And my guys still have that. They're okay with that and they have the patience for it. I don't. So usually I
Mm.
say, hey, stay away from the shops because you're going to ruin our day. Please go somewhere else. Perfect. Fine.
That's the thing I like about you, Sas. You're honest. You're honest. Um, once you get past, I tell people, once you get past that 50 bracket, your bandwidth to deal with customers and people in front of you changes. You could
Yes,
either raise the next generation to take over, or your business is going to
exactly.
go under. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And fortunately for the likes of me and most people, we're still having children. So you're forced to
Yes.
be the most patient individual. And I think sometimes that runs through me because I end up treating everyone like how I would treat my kids. I'm
Yes.
the oldest of seven. I have no choice, and I think that's why I took a liking to the cigar industry. I took a liking to the cigar world, and I like to call myself a cigar practitioner, and people like yourself, all of us cigar practitioners, because we weren't born in these places, but we're willing to learn, we're willing to understand it, we're willing to, because it's a product that's driven by a lot of emotions.
Yes.
You know, if you're having a bad day and you're sitting with the right people, even if you have a bad cigar, you might be able to get through it with this lovely people. Because by the time,
Yes.
somebody would turn around and replace that cigar with kindness and say, "Hey, man, try this." You know that
Yes.
that trick, right? When
Yes.
you know someone is
Yes.
struggling
Yes.
financially, and
Yeah.
man, bless them, they just picked up this
Yeah.
stuff from some mom and pop store down the road. They're not into cigars; they just sell it just to sell it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that the cigar industry is driven by so much by so much passion, so much love. A cigar stick could have
Yeah.
a guy confess things to you. That's happened to me so
Yes. Yes.
much.
Absolutely.
It's you understand? I'm
Absolutely.
sure you've had those experience, right? Where
Oh
people
no.
just, man,
Constantly.
and they
Yes.
cry at the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
grown tough guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
break
Yeah.
down and you just sit there. You
Yeah.
go, and they go, my favorite was, and I want to, I need to ask you this because I believe the pandemic raised the level of cigar smokers. And I like
Yes.
to say, I am one of the generation of people who
Yeah.
made that happen. I'm gonna
Good.
take
Well
that
done.
credit. I'm sorry. My wife said,
Yeah.
"Jesus Christ, if you were a preacher, you would convert all these people." You literally, my wife made suggestion. She goes, "You just keep baptizing these people. This is ridiculous. You should be getting paid for this." I go, "Oh, honey, they
You
could."
should.
Yeah, she just laughs. I go, "Oh, honey, I'm passionate about it. Because she says you collect all these cigars, man. You look like it'd be three generations of your children to smoke this shit." I go, "Nah, I smoke them." She goes, she just shakes her head. She goes, "That's a lot of collection." I go, "Well," then she realized we give them as birthday presents, and you are aware of this, how it works in the cigar world, right?
Yes.
We don't hoard cigars. We give
No,
them
we
away as
share. We
yeah, we
share.
share. It's
We
it's
share.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
I accidentally gave a cigar from 60 years ago. It was passed on to someone, and it came out of Dunhill in London. And as you know, England is like
Yeah.
the creme de la creme of rich or
Yes. Yes.
poor. One thing
Yes.
that sets us apart or keeps us together is a cigar, right? Everyone's got
Yes.
that
Yeah.
classic cigar and is well taken care of, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I remember someone had given me this cigar, and one of my family members was going through stuff from my wife's side. He was in town, and it was bad. He was going through a separation, and everybody was like, "Man, this person would love to hang out with you, man. It means the world to him if you guys could do this." So we went to a pub, and I accidentally had the cigar for myself.
Mhm.
Wasn't thinking. Then all of a sudden, I just went like this, gave him, and when you give someone in slow motion, that
Mhm.
cigar was supposed to go back into the humidor, but it just happened to be there, and they're smoking away, and you're holding your head, and you're resolving to smoke something less. Like, but the moral of the story was, it was the best moment of this individual's.
Perfect. Perfect.
Even
Well
the
done,
mom.
Oris.
You know what I mean? The mom reached out to me and said,
That's what they're for. That's
"Damn,
what they're for.
you
Well
get
done.
it, right? It's
Well done.
you,
Well
you
done.
know." So there is no room. I'm saying this to say that there
Mhm.
is no room, and the likes of us can't afford assholes. We
No.
can't afford assholes.
No. No. No.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
at the end of the
It's
day, and I'm seeing this, and maybe you could chime in on this a bit. There are some CEOs out there in the cigar companies that are a bit of a fucking asshole. With all due respect, I didn't mean
yes.
to go
Yes.
there, but
Well, it's
I'm not gonna
there's
hold that in because you made that very
no, no,
clear
no,
to me. You said,
no, no.
"Oris, let's not
One
hold back."
hundred percent.
You know what I mean?
It's we have the let's say old way of doing business, which is what
Yeah,
we do, and quite a few colleagues, fortunately. And
yeah.
then you have the STGs of this world, which is corporate. They could be selling socks. It makes no fucking difference. Uh, they're not. They change positions every time. 9 out of 10, they don't even smoke. It's just money, money driven. The only thing you hear from STG, for example, is their quarterly figures.
Wow.
Uh, I don't even have a clue what my quarterly figures are, but I get very excited when a new cigar comes in.
Yes.
It's just, it's a different approach with these big conglomerates. It's a shame. It's a
But
shame.
but something that I think the audience, you guys need to know. There's something I love that you do. The foundation that you support. I've seen it with the likes of
Yep.
Nick Malolo Foundation.
Yep.
His many years with Drew Estate. His story
Yep.
is just like, and you
Yeah.
you have that similar. It was a story of truth, but you are coming in from the selling and introducing cigars to the market. You coming to England, and your honesty of saying, "Man, I knew nothing," and working in that system and to where you are now. Um, and as we talk about supporting foundations, what's interesting is this cigar we smoke goes through literally, and I use this a lot, and 300 hands in the
Yes.
process.
Yes.
For you, you spent time in Nicaragua.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
What for you? What did that do for you? Is that also part of why you are really very a stickler for the game? That's why you're,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. Yes. I mean, first and foremost, I love the people.
Mm,
Uh, I, I, I mean, the people in Dominican Republic are extremely nice, but Nicaragua's got a. They will give you their last piece of bread if you come over, and they don't
correct.
have a lot. I mean, these are poor people that have endured wars, civil wars, natural catastrophes, on and on and on and on.
Mm,
Uh, and they are the happiest people in the world. Um, I think Google made a survey some years ago about emojis, and they were in the top 3% of happy emojis, which is weird. Phones are actually working very well down there.
mm,
I love these people, and I love the way they get treated by at least the factories I work with, because all of them do an extensive amount of charity. They just never mention it.
yeah.
Every single factory we work with has a nursery and a doctor on site and sponsors schools for kids, and it's an endless list of stuff they do for their community. They
Mm,
actually pay the rollers very well. I think it's twice
yes.
what you get paid than a police officers, for example.
Yes.
So they're they're such a part of this infrastructure of people. Yeah, it makes me emotional. It makes me
Yeah.
emotional. Yeah.
And I like the fact that, you know, Nick said something which was so beautiful. He says, Oris, you know, we come from a world where people were still an employee. Instead of doing that, we're trained. We work,
Yes.
you know, we train the next generation because there are, you know, and I heard you, you know, you said this, you know, everybody, some of these people, all they think about is a profit, and they will go as far as stealing literally the best, the top
Yeah.
man at this company, which is
Yeah.
wrong. You know, train somebody, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Exactly.
Invest in that person. Say, hey, maybe
Exactly.
you need to go work with Carlitos, you know,
Yeah.
cigar plant. Go, bury yourself for a year. We'll pay
Yeah.
your bills. You know, just go there
Yeah.
and suck in
Yeah.
everything you need to know and come home. Instead of that,
Yes.
people are like, oh, why don't I just steal Sasha?
Yeah.
Why don't I just double
Yeah.
his salary? And then, then you lose your soul and you lose your
Yeah.
souls. And I'm sure that's why you say no. I go the way your hiring system is amazing, and that's for me. That's how I work with people. It's always
Yeah.
through friendship and not what they, you know, what degree or what they've accomplished, or if they've worked for this company forever. Just going through
No, no,
friendship
no,
and passion.
no. It's all about the character of people. I mean, the
Yes.
people that work for us are very diverse. One thing that ties them together, they all have a very good heart. They all
Mm,
are the right kind of people. The kind of people you can call when you're in trouble, that will open up to you. Uh, if you got the right character and you love the product, I mean, the rest is easy. You can explain somebody how a cash register works or how
yes.
you have to put the alarm on and off. That's the easy part. But getting the right kind of people, and obviously, a lot of times we get people with dents in them, little nicks.
Mm,
For some reason, they don't fall into the normal category. There's something maybe a little bit off. Um, and those usually turn out to be the most loyal
yep.
people in the world. I mean, one of the things I always say to somebody who comes in, I said, "Welcome to the job you will have till the day you retire."
Mm,
99 out of 100, that happens. They actually retire late. We had
mm,
some people in our shop in Dordrecht who had to retire 2 years ago. And every year I say, shall we do another year? And shall I sweeten the deal a bit, give you a little bit more? And come on, stay
oh,
with me for another year. And then they're like, yeah, we're enjoying it. And it's good to have good people. And we
yeah.
don't double check on them. I mean,
You
the
don't
guys
micromanage
who,
them.
no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, no. They could steal me blind and I wouldn't even know. I've got zero proceedings. I got no cameras hanging around. I don't double check because if you distrust them, that starts a cycle of things you have to do, and they're all not nice.
Wow. That is deep. That is deep. So it's funny. Wow. Now that you've said that, trust for you is let's just hope I don't walk in on you.
Mm. Yeah,
Because once that happens, it can go two ways, right? You know, walking into someone doing something in an act, they
mm.
could actually, you could actually look at them, they look at you and walk away, right? With the hope
Yeah,
that they come back with one of the greatest apology in history, and they
yeah,
could actually be my mole. If that does that make
yeah.
sense? They could be my
Yes,
mole. They could actually be the guy that, okay, I know what you're capable of doing.
yeah,
Let's make a deal.
yeah, yeah,
Because, hey, we all know, right? We don't want to mention the names, but we all know a lot of these institutions. That's how they work. They go, "Oh, one of the greatest thief in the world." Really? Okay, bring him in.
yeah,
We're not
yeah.
going to press
Absolutely.
charges, but this is what
Yeah,
I want you to do. I want you from
yeah,
now on to take care of me and my family. Can you do that?
yeah,
Things change,
yeah,
and I'd say that's the attitude you have. Whereas when people feel like they're being watched, it
yeah.
becomes a cat and mouse. It becomes a game,
Absolutely.
and you lose money
Absolutely.
and you lose time. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I love that. I
yeah.
love that. Sasha, originally when you were a young man, was this something? Was this the way you saw your world, raising your
No, no, no,
family?
no, no, no. I mean, when I was younger, obviously, uh, My father was already second generation, so I was expected sort of to go into the company, and like everybody else, I rebelled against that. So when I was 19, I had my first company in Spain, selling CDs,
Wow.
which failed
Wow.
miserably because I had no idea what I was doing, but I had a lot of fun though. And then I came back to Holland and I opened a student bar, which actually did pretty well in the end. Uh, but in that proceedings, at some point, I got into the company. Um, but the company it wasn't my company. It was my father's company. It was my grandfather's company. The people were not my people. There was quite a toxic environment here. We had about 30 people working here, and there was a lot of gossip, a lot of stuff going on. The product didn't appeal to me. We were doing the cheap cigars and rolling tobacco, which is just a numbers business at the end of the day. So 6 years ago, we sold our rolling tobacco division to a Belgian corporation. And we also sold the short filler division a year after that. With the money we got, we were able in the Netherlands, when you want to fire somebody, you have to pay a certain amount of money. So we took that money, made it 150%, made it more royal, and paid them off to go find work elsewhere. And then we started rebuilding with the right kind of people. And life has been beautiful ever since. I mean,
Amen to that.
amazing. Yeah,
Amen to that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that being said, you've you're going you're going global without a doubt. You know, and this is something.
I think in all honesty, we will probably do a couple of things in the US at some point.
Mm,
If it grows, somebody will else some another company will step in to do that.
yeah, and acquire it.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I am because if it becomes Starbucks type-ish
Yeah.
global, I don't think I'm the right guy for that.
Yes.
It then becomes very technical and
Yeah.
very much on knowledge and finance, etc.
Yeah.
That's not my forte.
No. No.
Uh,
No.
so at some point, that will be for somebody else.
Mm, because your style is very boutique. Um,
Yes,
and if it's not boutique and caring, you want no part of it. It's like me as an artist.
that's basically it. That's
Yeah,
basically it.
I love independent projects. I love
Yeah.
independent things.
Yes.
I could sleep well at night.
Yes.
My
Yeah.
relationship with all of these people over the years is still there. Not
Yes.
when it's so conglomerately out of
Yes.
hand that you
Exactly.
didn't even know the person died.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
understand? Like
Exactly.
Jesus Christ, the person you've been calling got buried 5 years ago.
Yes. Yes.
That
No,
sucks.
that's not me. That's not
Yeah.
me. That's not going to
So
work. Yeah.
um and for your young ones, for the next for the your the next generation, for you, what is your hope for them?
Well, I was very surprised that my daughter decided to go into the business. I
Hmm.
wasn't expecting her. She got her education with as a nurse for the elderly, so it was totally
Wow.
different. And she was working, taking care of older people, and this is a very hard job. It's a lot of hours, weird hours. They don't necessarily treat you very well. They
Mm.
pay you very poorly, and I saw she was struggling and having a hard time. So I said, "Listen, I can offer you an option. I don't want to impose it on you. It's on you to decide whether to do it. Um, but I have something in mind that you might be willing to listen to." And she came back to me a week after that and said, "Okay, what do you have in mind? I'm interested." I said, "Okay, I want you to be my successor on the commercial side. And so I'm going to explain to you how you're going to start. You're going to move to Amsterdam." She was living in the south at the moment. "I'm going to get you an apartment and you're going to open Vandalen Amsterdam on your own. I'll set it up for you, but you're going to be running it 6 days a week. It's going to be your shop. And you have to do that for at least a year to 2 years because then you understand consumers. and then we can talk about getting you into the office and getting you to do sales to the retailers, etc., etc. And she did, and amazing results. She lived there for about 2 years, very successful. It's actually the shop that's now underneath Cigaragua in the lounge, and now she sort of runs the shop and does our national sales manager work. So, but but again, I always tell in terms of the future, um, our future will be determined by legislation. Legislation is getting tougher and tougher and tougher. This year alone, the new legislation is track and trace, which is the coding of all tobacco products. The the hardware investment on itself was €250,000. So a lot of small importers have had to stop doing business this year. That legislation is going up and up and up and up to the point where we are sort of mid-size. It will be difficult for us to comply. When this happens, we will probably be purchased by a larger entity. Uh, we'll see what happens there. She's prepared for that. Basically, it would be a money exit. It will be the last job I do because there's no way I'm going further under new management. That's not going to happen. So, but I mean, on the plus side, if legislation stays the way it is, then this is sustainable for a few hundred years to come. That would be fantastic.
Wow. You pretty much answered all of the question I wanted to ask you in one shot because I was going to go into the whole PCA thing, that whole fight that's going on, and so
Yeah.
this is the bottom line. This is what they're trying to do here.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Do you
It's
think
very
now that
simple. Our
go ahead?
governments don't want tobacco. End of discussion. And the only question is, how long will it take before they kill us all off? Uh, on the other hand, this has been the situation for the last 30 years. So why couldn't it last another 30 or maybe another 60? But we do not have a friendly government at all.
Interesting. And can this is so funny. But then the alcohol business is private, isn't it? Or is that a different? Is
Um,
that a different kind of? Is that a different kind of money? Is that a different kind of
I, I,
handshake?
I think the alcohol business, they did their PR better,
Okay.
um, and the big advantage is with alcohol there's no secondary use of alcohol like there is with tobacco,
Yeah.
but also we have our problem is cigarettes. It's not cigars.
No.
Uh, all the legislation is geared onto cigarettes. And the more legislation you get there, the more factories you have that are making a cigar that's basically a cigarette, like moods, for example, these little ones that are infused with flavors. These are for cigarette smokers. So now suddenly all these governments see this and they say, well, let's just blanket the law across everything because they, then there's no difference. But we are being hit by the consequences and actions of the cigarette companies. And what they're doing against the cigarette companies is well justified. These are the biggest crooks you will find on planet Earth. They knew everything they were doing. It was engineered. It was just as bad as you think it was. It really was horrible. And we're now being punished for their behavior.
You don't think that could be reversed by taking a lot of these? I was suggesting something to. I said, man, we got to take all these guys, all these politicians, and when is a take them as friends into the lounges with just the regular normal man, woman that just sitting there or student having a smoke and
Mm,
having a discussion. If they can just sit there for 2, 3 hours, they don't even have to smoke
yeah.
and see the relationship and see what that's doing to society and see how that's been very impactful to mental health. Because if you look at, if you notice earlier on, I was talking about the COVID, how A
Mm.
lot of people were converted through the likes of many of
Yeah.
us. You know, I,
Yeah.
I met Jonathan Drew for the first time through a Zoom smoke, thanks to
Nice.
Ricardo Corioni, all these guys. And that relationship extended. He was the one that said, man, you know what, fuck those people. They've been using Oris, man. They've been using the covers, the blankets from Nicaragua, leaves to make their shit. They import that shit, because the moment, you get really powerful stories. But where I'm trying to get to is bring in, if it's possible, that we can bring in all of these politicians and take them on a world tour through the
Mm.
plantations, let them see how it's done, and sit down and have that dialogue. I think if they do that, now I could only speak for us, our world,
Mm.
the
Mm.
cigar world. I think it could change things. I mean, have you guys thought about that? Really,
Well,
just saying,
in the
yeah.
Netherlands, that's actually forbidden. So we are the
What? To
only, yeah,
educate, to
yeah, but
educate people, to say, listen, we would
we are
like to take you guys.
we are by law not
Yeah.
allowed to speak to our government as an industry
Oh wow.
in any shape or form. We are
Wow.
actually the only country in Europe where that's in place, and that's
Wow.
been like that for 6 years. So they would have to come over illegally, which they want. But the big problem is, because obviously looking from the standpoint of the Netherlands doesn't do much.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is that there's a critical mass of public that is now against tobacco.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
think getting press and through press talking to public will be more helpful than politicians. Politicians will go where
Yeah.
their voters will go.
Right.
That's
Got you.
that's what they do. And
Yes.
if the mass of the voters is against smoking, then they will be against smoking. I don't think they know much about the subject to start with. But
It's
public opinion used to
yeah.
be on our side
Yeah.
8 years ago, 9 years ago, and it's now predominantly negative. So that's the big issue, I think.
Wow. Wow. This is very very good to hear. This is very very good to hear. But on the other hand, again, we have the other stuff like marijuana. How is that being regulated? I know I've heard from outsiders how it works, but from firsthand from your point of view, because when you mention Amsterdam to people, everyone's mentality is, oh shit, anything goes there, anything
Yeah.
goes.
No,
That's
no, no,
people's,
no,
that's
no.
the world's mentality. But
Yeah, no,
I'd
no,
love
no,
to
no.
hear your take on that. How's
Well, it's a very weird situation because the coffee shops are allowed to sell it, but it's not allowed to produce marijuana. So how can you then purchase it to resell it? So there's like a
hmm
mix in the Netherlands where a lot is actually not allowed, but they sort of look away from the whole thing. It's like officially in a coffee shop, you're only allowed to smoke pure marijuana. If you mix it with tobacco, which is what most people obviously do, then you're smoking tobacco, and that's not legal due to our tobacco laws. But they look the other way. So that there's this thing where, uh, for example, a coffee shop is allowed to have an X amount of grams on the premises at all times. It's not a large quantity. It's like enough for 6 or 7 guests. So there's a constant delivery of small packs going on a daily basis just to keep the stocks up. Um, it's a very schizophrenic, weird setup. There's not a lot of logic involved.
mm,
And mind you, that situation in some ways
yeah.
might actually see to it that we have a future.
Yes.
Because in the Netherlands, tobacco is allowed to be sold basically everywhere.
Yes.
So but this is changing. From June this year, all the supermarkets will not be able to sell tobacco. And in 3 years from now, the petrol stations will not be able to sell any tobacco. They do 78% of the business from a nationwide point of view. So only specialist shops like mine will be the last ones being able to sell tobacco at some point. We are hoping that when all these anti-smoking people are in a supermarket with their kids and they don't see tobacco anymore, they will say, fine, we've won the war against tobacco, it's done, because these people are not coming into tobacco shops anyway. So we're hoping that the public opinion on tobacco will fade away like it did with the coffee shops. I mean,
Yes.
imagine if in Holland you can buy marijuana in a coffee shop, but imagine if the local Tesco's was selling marijuana. What would happen then in terms of legislation? Within
Mm.
months, within a week, we would have thousands of complaints from concerned parents and all that, and everything would be turned back and become illegal. So it's the fact that they stayed under the radar which made their existence possible. And I think that's also our future. I think we need to keep our heads down and just stay away from the discussion.
Yes. Interesting. And again, it's all about education, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
how it's education. It's you know you I could tell you one thing. I mean, I could just let me I want to use the pandemic as a perfect example. The awareness and the fact that you know we were able to have a platform, a place where people were able to talk and feel and just be themselves. That is something I saw transcended from the regular meeting people at a cigar lounge or a place of cigar gathering, moved onto a platform. Now I still do it with people from around the world. Singapore this time, or we and the conversation is incredibly healthy. And we're not talking about a bunch of people getting drunk talking crap. We're talking about a
no,
bunch
no,
of
no.
people. You understand? So there,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying this to try to convince anyone, but it's just I don't have to. But it's just that I have yet to meet any unsuccessful human being in the cigar world. And I'm talking from the guy that makes peanuts,
Yeah,
the guy that's a philanthropist that helps people,
yeah,
that works in a foundation, to sky's the limit, if that makes any
yeah.
sense. To
Yes,
the
yes,
Black
yes, yes, yes.
Rock, you know what I mean? To
Absolutely,
to the
absolutely.
Rockefeller
Yeah, yeah,
Foundation type of
yes,
guy.
yeah,
So for me, I guess and we are always and then one thing I can really speak on, and you talked about it, is the fact that a lot of these cigar houses, their profits margin is all about helping the community.
yes,
And I see it, I know of it, I'm aware of it. So my heart, and a lot of us, our heart would always be, that would always remain with us each time we light that cigar. You know what
yes.
I mean? Each time, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this track and trace means that you get to track and trace good quality products. I'm hoping. Is that what we're getting, or I'm
I fear
dreaming?
not. I fear
Is,
not. I fear not.
is it an illusion?
Well, I fear you can put the codes on a crappy cigar as well. So
Jesus
it's not
Christ.
very helpful, is it?
Yeah, but that
Yeah,
people need to be careful with that, because
yeah.
social media now and these influencers will call you out. You know that nobody wants to take a
Well, that's
chance
good.
on
That's
the,
good.
yeah,
That's
nobody
good.
wants to take a chance on the social
Yeah,
media platform.
yeah, yeah.
But one thing I will tell you, and this is coming from a lot of the younger generation, they saying, Oris, man, the competition must be fierce, right? I go, why'd you say that? There's no room for bad cigars,
Mm.
because all it take is one person to take a picture of it, and I know this, I've seen
And
this,
you're done.
and
And
you're
you're done.
done. We don't need you to come to you're over. So
Yeah,
uh, you know what I mean? And because
yeah.
depending on the cigar, when we go to you, we say, hey, Sasha, can you help us out, man? We're trying to locate this cigar. You'd be like, okay, give me the name of the cigar, and I'll look into it. If I like it, I'll carry. If I don't like it, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you don't want something that's going to be sitting on that shelf. So the
That
consumers,
unfortunately, that happens a lot. The
wow,
biggest problem we have with all these B brands is that we have a fairly uneducated amount of shops in the Netherlands who
Mm.
just buy something. I had discussions lately about some brand that came up. I said to the retailer, I said, well, can you tell me where these are made? He says, yeah, in Nicaragua. I said, that's not enough. Can you tell me what factory they're made? He says, well, I have no idea. I said, why the hell did you buy them then? What? Because for me, a retailer is the last gatekeeper to the consumer.
That's
We
right.
have a massive responsibility to that consumer. And these people just they get a good deal or something, or they're talked to nicely. Their asses get butter up by some salesperson. But you have to buy because you know and believe in a product. There has
Yes.
to be a technical decision. Uh, and although the level now is much higher than 20 years ago they didn't have any idea what they were doing. But there's still, I see stuff going into shops where I'm like, I just don't, I don't get it. I don't understand. And what happens is they buy an X amount of boxes, they sell a few sticks. Obviously, nobody comes back. And those boxes sit on the shelf and prevent products that I have to sit on that space. Uh, One of the reasons that we started our own shops was to set a benchmark towards other shops. They didn't like it. There's a reason some people dislike me. This is one of them. Obviously, I'm an importer and I'm a retailer, so I'm also a competitor. But it is what it is. Um, and we set the bar very high, and it forces them to raise their bar. But a lot of them don't look favorably at us because of that. It
Mm.
is what it is.
Wow. Man, it's been such a pleasure sitting with you. And I don't believe this is the last of it.
No, 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 no. Let's
I
do this
just
again, Oris.
oh, we're gonna keep going. And your I want to end on this note with something. What is your advice you would give to the new generation of first timers um, that are walking into this world? They want to be a collector, just like we collect our suits, our
Mhm.
shirts, our jeans, our t-shirts, glasses, cars. You know, there are people. Listen, we're in a world. It's an interesting world now, and especially when people know that the likes of me, wow, he collects whiskey. I don't. I can't believe it. He runs 5 miles a day. And he how did what? Because I believe in everything in balance. You know, everything in balance. My kids know. It's no big secret. My kid, my 22-year-old daughter in LA, she knows. She used to cut my cigars for me. So, you know, so for me, it's no big secret. But you know, I always guide them. I always tell them. I say, yo, I don't do drugs. Let's be clear about that. I don't do this. I don't do that. But one thing
Yeah,
I do is this. So what's the difference? I make it very clear. I say, no, we don't inhale that. So I get chocolate. I go into the whole thing. They sit there. They go, oh, that's aphrodisiac. I said, there you go, science. All right. They go. So we have this. That's me. That's me as a dad being responsible. That's me
yeah.
doing my thing. Now, for you, for the stranger, and
Mhm.
I get this all the time. I want to get into this. I love the community. What's your advice to those people if they want to go into collecting cigars? What's your
Very simple. Buy what you know. Don't buy what you know of. Invest in knowledge. Once you invest in knowledge, and that's just a matter of reading, listening, talking. It's not complicated if you like the subject. Then you might buy a cigar that you don't like, but you will acknowledge the quality it was made. You need to learn. And if you know the technical basis, if you understand that, you can't go wrong ever. So don't go for the hype brand or the expensive brand or God knows what limited box, this and that. Ask questions. There's so many people like me that love answering questions, but I rarely get really interesting questions from consumers. It's a shame. Uh, there's a lot to learn, and once you know, then you will get into it. You will know more and more and more and more. I mean, I dare to say that your knowledge on cigars is probably more on a higher level than 95% of the retailers in the Netherlands. That's a compliment to you, but
Yeah.
it's also bad from their position. Uh, Knowledge, it's all about knowledge, and then the rest will follow.
Wow. Wow. Before we go, I'm going to be cheeky. Your best regions of cigars that you would love for us in the cigar world, outside the cigar world, to look into. The best regions you see, you actually foresee that would really shake the palate and the texture of cigars
Mm.
that can go left or right to watch out for.
So, in terms of tobacco fields,
Yep, tobacco fields, the
okay,
taste,
okay.
your favorite regions. I
Um,
know we can't mention the names because of houses because we'll be here all day. Because trust me, I'm like
right,
you. I
right,
love
right,
I love this house.
right,
And to be fair to them,
right.
I would just say let's stick with the regions. Your top five, if you were to give them
Yes,
like
yes,
boom, boom,
yes,
boom, like to
yes. Well, I mean, on a personal, I smoke very strong cigars. So I smoke 100% Nicaragua, mostly sun grown. I love Jalapa. I love Esteli. So that's my personal flavor.
mm,
Um, when I look at uh, tobacco that I really admire for what it is, not it's not my flavor, but I have a very, very, very high esteem for real Cameroon tobacco. Not Cameroon seeds, that's fine, but real Cameroon from Cameroon,
yes,
made by the Mirafuls, it's phenomenal, phenomenal. There's so much sweetness and
yes,
broadness in that. It's mind-boggling, and I know how difficult it is there because
yeah,
it's just a little tobacco field here,
yeah,
then 3 miles down through the rocks there. It's not like Nicaragua where it's all plain fields. It's
mm,
very, very complicated. You have a country that's fairly unstable.
yep,
The challenges there. I mean, I take my hat off to Jeremiah and his brother. I think
yes.
it's unbelievable what these guys do.
To be fair with you, the Jeremiah and the family are really the first to really celebrate the Cameroon tobacco.
Yes,
And Jeremiah is one of the most loveliest man in
yes,
the industry. He's so busy. I mean, that guy. I mean, he literally jumped on a call and just received me with love. The whole
yes,
family. I have to say, Sasha, they're very similar to the way you think. They're very. Jeremiah is a no nonsense guy. He's very passionate, as you know. He is passionate. You think I got passion?
no,
Family.
he's
He's
out there.
oh my
He's out there.
God.
He's out
He's
there.
out
He's out
there,
there.
Jeremy. You sitting there going, sometimes I go, oh, forget about it. Because
Yeah,
the way he's so, and he made me very proud of being a product myself as a human being from West Africa. It's like
yeah,
when he talks of Cameroon, because a lot of people, they, like you said, they go for they talk about the seed. You're sitting there going, it's not just a seed. When
no,
you
no,
talk of
no.
Connecticut, it's
Yeah,
like I have to say to people, you been to Connecticut? They go, no. I said, okay, when you go to Connecticut, you would understand people like,
yes, yes,
the big Foundation Cigar, Nick Below.
yes,
You would understand him. Now,
yeah,
listen to me, I would say to them, you need to go to West Africa, Cameroon, the country. And they sit there, they go, where is that? I said, there you go. You're smoking a goddamn cigar.
yeah,
Fuck
yeah.
off. Yeah.
I've actually never been yet.
Oh,
Jeremiah's invited me many times.
wow.
We will get to that eventually. We will get to
Yes.
that eventually. But
Yes.
it's quite an adventure, as I
Yes.
understand.
Yes, and Jeremiah's father, these people, they, may so rest in peace. They really were proud flag flyers of the Cameroon tobacco on a
His
whole nother level.
father was one of the people that defined the start of our company.
Wow,
His father was the one that, at the start of Longfiller Company in '99, gave me Arturo Fuente for the Netherlands. Phenomenal guy. Phenomenal guy.
wow. We got to get him on the show with you. we gotta,
Oh yeah.
we
Listen,
gotta get it. Yeah.
put me and Jeremiah on there.
Oh no, no, it's gonna be
That'll be a
live.
show. That'll be a show.
So these are your you. I think to be fair, to be fair, you talked of two regions, and I feel bad because we got passionate. The moment we heard Jeremiah, me and you were like,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
I have a box that was gifted to me by the family about a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
and let me tell you something. I kind of smoke one every 6 months, and my last one,
Is that the miracle one?
yeah.
Oh
With
yeah,
wrapped up in a nice velvet.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna,
Beautiful.
as we talk anyway, the picture I'll pop it up. But it's just so opulent and well put
Yeah,
together, well placed together. And I know you carry that. I know you carry
yeah,
all
yeah.
that. I
Of
can't.
course,
I think I'm gonna pick up some more through you.
no problem.
Yeah. But thanks to you, really, really thanks to you for um uh, you know you you're non-discriminative. You are the kind of person. Uh, well, you're old school. You're classic. I was raised by big brothers like you. So at the end of the day, I'm in my 50s myself. So I know talking to you is like I don't even need a script to talk to you. It's just like I told your daughter. I
Excellent.
said, "Yep, let me handle this."
Cool. Excellent. It was
Oh,
an
thank
absolute pleasure, Oris. I really enjoyed it.